That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a very common but dumb Notre Dame fan thought regarding this whole independence or not edition of the Always Irish show. As always, do subscribe on YouTube if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up if you approve of the content. Also, hit notifications. I used to have a routine for posting. There's so much going on now. Who knows when I'm going to need to record and post right away. Make sure you hit notifications. You'll be alerted right away. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish, or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishhandy@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want me. You can get me. Call in line 312-900-8815. First off, thanks again to all the folks who participated in the call-in chat show last night. All of the callers were good, presented good, well thought out points. And most of the chat was good too. We had a few trolls, but I think to some extent that's healthy in the ecosystem. So I could live with it, and I welcome those fans from other conferences and teams into my show anytime. Mixing it up a little bit's good for everybody, okay? Updates, more dominoes are falling as everybody, I'm not acting like I'm Notre Dame here with my prediction machine, but I've been saying the last week since all this USC news broke is the next thing you're going to hear about is the SEC pulling ACC teams in. Everybody thought that's where it was going. I said that's where it's going. I'm not acting like I'm a genius here. It was obvious. Now you're seeing Clemson, Florida State, UNC, Virginia, allegedly in talks to move to the SEC. You might ask, as I did, why no Miami? Florida's already in the SEC. Doesn't seem like they like that idea. I did see that today, okay? So just wanted to update us on the latest news. As far as I could tell, you're not on Twitter for 2 minutes. You missed the news. So who knows what's breaking by now? So now that some of that initial shock of the USC, UCLA move to the Big Ten and what that means for Notre Dame philosophically, existentially, now that all that's kind of settled and steadied a little bit, that initial shock, I'm taking stock of some of the reactions I've seen from our fan base and from others as well. In doing this, I've come across one very common comment I've seen. I've heard, I've read repeatedly coming from large swaths and segments of the Notre Dame fan base, and it's really short-sighted to the extent that I got to speak about it. I just do. It's so lame and short-sighted that I can't let it slide because you all know that's just not how I operate, all right? So let's get into this. Now, if you were around for all the call-in show last night, I alluded to this a little bit, okay? But I got to go over it in full now. Maybe it's just for clicks. Maybe it's just to gain interaction and traction on social media. But I've seen hundreds of retweet if you want Notre Dame to stay independent, or like this post if you want Notre Dame to stay independent. Posts like this are not well thought out at all. At all. Okay, retweet if you want Notre Dame to stay Indy. Well, okay, sure. I love our tradition and I want to keep it going, right? So I'm going to go ahead and click retweet, build that person's social media account. But wait a second. Wait a damn second and think this through. Think it through. There's more involved here than that very superficial, simple question being posed. If it says, if you want Notre Dame to stay independent, hit retweet, okay? It ain't that simple. You're dumbing it down and making it seem like something simple that it isn't. All right? On the surface, sure, I love independence. I want us to win it that way. I love it. Keep it going. I'm going to hit retweet. This guy thinks he's a social media expert now, right? Look at all the people that want this. I came up with the great idea, they think. Wait just a second. Do I want Notre Dame to stay Indy? Well, yes, but with conditions. It's not absolute. Do you want Notre Dame to stay independent if they aren't included in the new playoff system by joining a conference? Do you want Notre Dame to stay independent if they have to play a bunch of extra games on the road to make the playoff or get penalized when they are in it? Do you want Notre Dame to stay independent if it means they can't play who they want and build a legitimately competitive schedule due to the new conference rules and or scheduling? Do you want Notre Dame to stay independent, but due to making $80 million less than other football factories per year, we fall behind in every aspect of the modern football game? Facilities, infrastructure, coaches' pay, everything Brian Kelly's mad we didn't get. I'm just trying to show that this seemingly innocuous, innocent fan question isn't as easy to answer as it used to be. And we need to analyze all of this before we just blindly say yes without knowing all the details. So yes, I want Notre Dame to stay independent, but that isn't the real question here at all. The real question is, can Notre Dame compete on an equal or close to equal footing in the modern landscape of whatever the next phase of big-time college football is going to look like while being independent? That's the question. The question isn't, do you want them to? It's, if they do it, can you still compete? That's the real question. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know when it's going to play out, but there's lots of nuance and layers to this. This is all a big multivariate equation, and we don't even know what numbers to plug into the calculator yet. Notre Dame's in a good position with a lot of options. I just ask that we look at the big picture here. This isn't a matter of equal but opposite preference with no external forcing factors. I still think as we sit today, the two options are independent for now, revisit all this in a year or two, or Jack negotiates great deals with the Big Ten and we join. That's what I think. Either call timeout, wait and see what happens in a year, revisit it, or they're figuring out all the details now. Notre Dame's in the Big Ten and we're off to the races. It's wait and see. Okay, it's wait and see. But that's my main point. I get it. It's easy for social media. If you want Notre Dame to be independent, hit retweet, hit like, whatever. You're proving you're a traditionalist. We all are. We all are. But we can only stay independent if we still have a shot at a championship. You got to keep that in mind. So for now, it's wait and see, but the future's bright for ND. Good night.